This conference will now be recorded.
Let's start today's session. So in the last session, we were discuss about how to retrieve the data from model to view and view to template. Okay. In today's session, I'm going to introduce you a Django form section. So what is Django form? What is the difference between HTML form and Django forms? We'll discuss. And form fields arguments also we'll see this. So why it is required any form like Django form or HTML form? So we are working with right now Django. That's what we need to talk about Django form. And generally, form is used to accept user inputs. Okay, it will accept what? User inputs. In the last lecture, we have seen like how to retrieve the table data and display that same data which is coming from database into template only. So we are communicating from backend application to front end application. Now we need to discuss same front end application to backend application. Means we need to collect the inputs from the user interface, means user form, and that inputs we need to send it to view. Once the inputs send to view, the view will collect the input values from the template, that means form, and it will validate whether these values are valid or not. If it is valid, then that values will be sent into database table, that is model. So this is the requirement actually. But to do this, what is required means form is required, because you are saying that we need to collect the inputs from user. But generally, where we can collect the inputs from the user means form only, user interface like HTML form. Okay, that HTML form, how to work, how to prepare. See, HTML form preparation purpose, we need not to use any Python language code. Directly, you can go to template and use form tag, input type equal to text, input type equal to password, buttons, like that you can prepare. But here I'm speaking about Django forms. So Django forms are very important in web development because we are using Django framework. The main purpose of Django forms is to take user inputs. Okay, yes, it will take user inputs. Main purpose of Django form is to take user inputs like registration form, login form, change password form. This kind of forms we need to prepare, and we need to accept input from the user, and that inputs we need to store into database table. So from the forms we can read end user inputs, and we can use the end user inputs based on requirement only. We can store the end user inputs in the form and stored into database for further usage. We can also use form data for validation and authentication purpose also. Django provides form class which is used to create HTML forms. Okay, Django provide a form class which is used to create HTML forms. Django form class describes a form and how it will works and appear. Each field of form class map to the HTML input only. Means for example, here I'm creating Django form class. So for example, class I'm taking, class is called student form I'm preparing for example. This form is inherited from forms.form only, forms.form. I'm preparing, this is Python class only. But in this class, I'm taking fields like name, okay, address, and then mail, okay, and then age, like this. These are I'm trying to prepare age, name, address, mail, age, like this. If I use this name, address, mail, age, so this form is HTML form will prepare, form class it is. Automatically in this form class, what fields I have included, these fields all will be treated as input elements. Automatically, HTML form will generate this Django form will generate every field as input element, HTML input element only. So we need not to write any HTML tags for generating forms. Okay. Yes, that's I'm doing now. So each field of form class map to the HTML form input element. So what are the advantages of Django forms over HTML forms? Simple. We can develop Django forms very easily with Python code. With Python script only, we can develop Django forms. We can generate HTML controls like text area, email, password field, etc. very quickly with its Python logic. Validations of Django with forms are very easy because maximum most of the cases built-in Django validations will be there, and creation of models based on the forms also will be easy. Okay, creation of models based on the forms also will be easy. Okay, yes. So generally, if we create HTML form, normal HTML form, so to perform validations, then we need to write some JavaScript logic, and that JavaScript logic we need to inject into Django forms. Okay, HTML forms. If you are using direct HTML forms, for HTML form generation purpose, we have to write HTML script. And do you want to perform any validations also in the HTML form while giving inputs? So you should be ready with the JavaScript also. But when we use Django forms, no need to write any JavaScript functionality for validations. Directly Django form internally will provide the validations, built-in validations. Or else if you want to write your own validations with Python logic through, we can prepare our own validations. That's possible, sir, here. Okay. So let's see how it will work once. First, let's create a new application. So this is my app 4, which was last application. Now this time I'm creating my app 5. Now you can see Python space manage.py start app, then my app 5, sir. I'm just preparing a new application. So you'll see this. So new application is generated and you can include that into settings.py installed apps. So I'm right now under installed apps. So my app 5 is I'm including. It's our new application. Fine, close it. Next, what is recommend means just you can see, go to my app 5. We are working with completely forms now. So yeah, let's try to create a forms.py. But look at this, models and views and templates are there in MVT architecture. But to work with forms, so we need to create a file which is Python file with the name forms.py. So right now my app 5 is there. My app 5 don't have any forms.py. You have to create it. So just right click on my app 5, go to new, and now you can see here Python file. So what is the name is the thing means forms.py file you have to give. So this forms.py is exclusively have the forms. So here we have to write forms logic. Means this is called Python logic only. So you are trying to create a code. What actually here? Python code. Using this Python code through, we are generating the form HTML elements. Complete HTML elements will be generated automatically using form class through. Okay. So let's see here how from Django import forms, because all forms are present in forms library. From Django import forms simply. Okay. So what form you do you want to create? You can create like this. Any no, employee form or student form or whatever you want. Suppose here I'm taking uh, class. Class name is employee form. Employee form I'm preparing. Okay, employee form. This form should be inherited from form class. So your form is a super class. Okay, this is your class. You can create form fields like name equals to forms dot char field, like max length equals to 20. Next I'm taking address equals to forms dot char field, again max length equals to 20. Then mail equals to forms dot any fields, you can take any number of fields. Forms dot email field, max length equals to 30. Age equals to forms dot integer field. I'm taking like this. These are all form fields, just sample. All these form fields are available. Okay, fine. So here employee form is my form class. This class is inherited from forms.form class. Forms is a library name and form is a built-in class name, base class. Every form should inherited from form class only. Yes. Okay. So here employee form. How this form is going to render into template? Because I'm saying this is called Django forms. Django form fields act as what? Every form field act as input element. Here, how many form fields you are creating, that many input elements will be generated automatically HTML code. But how I can render this form into template? Okay, so to render this form into template, simply we can go to view section. We have to create a view. Yes, obviously. Let's create a view here, emp underscore view. I'm taking my view name is any name you can take, emp underscore view, and current request object is this one. So I want to send just a form object into where in template. But to create form object like fm equals to what form? Employee form. But look at this, employee form is coming. It's not available, no? Yes, it's coming from where? Forms.py class. So we need to import what actually? Forms.py first. We are making forms.py file available to emp views.py. So I need to collect the form class over there from your application name is my app5 dot forms.py is a file name. Import what form you want to import? Employee form, because I need to create object for this form. So here I'm creating fm is my form object. Form name is what actually? Employee form. This form object I want to send into template only. How to send this form object into template means simple. Return render current request comma what? So emp.html page. If it is not there, you can create it. So I'm sending this form fm is a value. So observe, whenever we execute emp underscore view, so I created object for employee form. It is object name. It can be any name, valid name. Employee form is a class. So return render request. In this current request, emp.html is what actually? Template name. Form is what actually? Key only. It's a dictionary key. Dictionary key or not? Yes. So dictionary key this is. Dictionary key only we have to access in the emp.html. Value is what actually? Form object only. So do you have an emp.html template? Let's check under templates folder. So look at this emp.html already we have for other purpose. So let's go for this time I can go for employee.html better. Okay, so employee.html is fine. This HTML template I have to prepare. To prepare this template, right click on templates folder, simply go to new and HTML file. Let's employee.html file I'm creating. Once you are creating employee.html file here, so this employee.html file we need to use what actually form. How to use this form means the Django template language format. Output value this one only. So employee.html is my template name. In this template I am accessing what form here, form. It is what? Dictionary context key. So here in the view section, so fm is value because it is only form object. Form is the dictionary key. This form I am sending into employee.html. How you are rendering the form object into employee.html means by using this view. To execute this view, what is required? URLs are required. So where is URLs? My app file, there is no urls.py. Let's include urls.py also. New file, Python file, urls.py. Here I am including from django.urls import path. From your application name is what? My app5 import views. So here I am taking URL patterns. taking path. There is no name I'm giving. Use dot what actually? emp v1. Yes, comma. We need to include this URLs into project level URLs. So let's include that into project level URLs. urls.py. Already we worked with emp4, iApp4. Sorry. Now this time I'm including new application, that is include my app 5 dot URLs like this. Now let's start run server. Okay. Yes. To start server, just go to terminal and type python space manage.py run server. Now you can see once I run this, form is going to be rendered. Form fields are like this. Look at this: name, address, mail, age only. Okay. Yes. But sir, look at this. By default, form rendering, Django form will provide us only form fields like name, address, mail, age, like this. But do you have any button? No. So only Django form will provide us form fields options only in HTML form. Okay. Did I write any HTML code in employee.html? Observe here. No input elements, nothing. So all the input elements automatically generated from this form, which is coming from what? View. Because form object already there, this view also collect the form object from where? Employee forms. In forms.py, employee form is there. Every field is act as a one input HTML element. So do you want to see this here, input HTML elements? What is the code behind the scenes it generated? Means right click on it and view page source. So this code is generated automatically Django. So if you don't to write any form class, form fields in forms.py file, here this much of code you have to write in HTML code. So instead of writing this much HTML code, what I have just written, sir, simple Python form class I have written. That form class fields through I am generating this form. But this form is not looking correct order, so we will bring that only. But one thing is for sure, by default, Django forms will generate only form fields like name, address, mail, age, but it will not generate any form tag and input buttons and all. That buttons and everything we need to take care. Okay. So how we need to take care means simple like this. Employee.html. Here I'm just cutting this, and now observe here form tag I'm including. Inside the form tag, what I'm taking? Form. And button. Now you can see. And button we need to prepare. So I'm preparing input type equal to submit, value equals to what? Submit. That's it. So what I mean to say, Django form class, whatever we prepare here, this will not prepare any form tag, and this will not prepare any submit buttons like insert button, delete button, update, whatever operations do you want, that will not be generate. Buttons will not generate ultimately. So button we have to prepare from our side. So that's what I use form tag, opening, closing. I bring this, and input button submit also I included, and form is coming this view only. Now once we start the server now, this time you can see form is look like. Again, form is look like default format. Look at this default format. But there are form rendering options are there. What are the rendering options? Look at this. Form rendering options means here form is there. Form as paragraph also there. As P means paragraph. How the way you want to render, you can render it. So form as P means paragraph section. You can see paragraph section. Even right click on and view page source, you will come to know that paragraph sections are there or not. P for paragraph. Okay, here P is generated, no paragraph section. But sometimes we can go for form as table also. Look at this. Form as table. These are form rendering options. Form as table. As table means not really table format, but behind the scenes tr tags will prepare. Now you can see form as table I'm using. Even right click on it and view page source. Now you can see tr tag, th tag, td tags are generated or not. Yes. And some more options are there here. Form as ul. Ul means unordered list. Means look at this, unordered list tag will be generated now. So this is unordered. Unordered list is starts with bulleted or not. Each field is started with bulleted. And even right click on and page source, you will see this unordered list means li tag is their list item. Each item is called li only, list item. But what the way you want, you can use it, form as table or something. Okay. But my requirement is just I want to bring this into table format. Table I am taking, inside the table I am taking form. That's it. Like this. This will be look good. So whenever I just use this, now it is completely our own table format, like name, address, mail, age, submit. Even when we right click on and view page source, now you can see table format is the table tag, tr tag, td tag, everything is available. So Django forms will not generate or will not produce any buttons, will not generate any form tag. Okay, only you need to arrange this form tag, you need to arrange this table structure. Only this will come from what? View only. View will render this form object to the template only. Already we are ready with form class. Based on this form class only, based on this fields only. This is Python class. Python class through HTML generation is there or not? Yes. So this is Django forms, clearly how it will work. But look at this. In this Django forms, there are so many options are there again. Okay, so many options are there. Form fields ordering option is there. Form field ordering option means what? Order fields. Order underscore fields is the option. Suppose your name, address, mail, age is the order. No. Why this order same? Because of in the form class, name first, address, and mail, age is this is the order. But sir, I don't want to be make this order. Okay. So in that context, we can use order fields. Order fields is a function. Order field function is used to display the form fields in order what the way you want. It is used to rearrange the fields only generally. How to rearrange the fields, we'll see this. This code we have to create in where means who will render the form? View only. So while rendering the form in the view section only, we have to write. What we have to write? So like this, form order fields we have to write. Okay, after creating form object, we have to write form order field. So how to write form order field, we'll see now. Okay. So fm is form object dot order underscore fields is there. Look at this, fm dot order fields. Now here field order equals to what the order you want, you can just mention. First, suppose you are making address order is next age, next mail order I'm taking, or name I'm taking, last mail I want. This is my order. But original order is what? In the forms.py, name, address, mail, age. Name, address, mail, age. But original order it is. Okay, name, address, mail, age. But view order is what? In the view. While this form object is coming from forms.py, order I'm changing. Now you can see fm is a form object dot order underscore fields. Inside this there is attribute field order. This order is going to represent now address, age, mail, address, age, name, mail. Look at this. The moment when we refresh, first address, next age, next name, next mail. So this order you can also change by using this what? Order underscore fields. In case do you want to change the order, even though the order is one order is coming from forms .py, same order I don't want, order I want to change means you can use this order underscore fields. Fm dot order underscore fields, field order equals to address, age, name, mail, like this. This I'm going to change. Order is changing. So this is optional. You just comment it, not a problem. Okay. So I'm just commenting. So same order it is going to appear now whenever you do comment. Name, address, mail, age. Fine. So next form fields arguments are there. Form field arguments in the sense right now you can see when I click on submit button, what is happening, sir, here? Please fill out this field. Means actually this is what validation? Django validation not it is. It is what validation, HTML validation it is. What validation? HTML validation. So why HTML validations? Yes, HTML validations clearly available. By default, HTML5 will have the validation that is required attribute. Why? Because even right click on the page source, look at this, every field is having required attribute or not? Required like this. That's what it is stopping us. Without enter any data, we cannot submit. Sir, if you don't want to work with Django validation means what? If you don't want to work with Django validations, simply if you don't want to work with the HTML validations, simply in the employee.html, in the form section, what we have to use, no validate you have to use. In the template, in the form tag, no validate attribute you have to use. No validate means you are not going to validate the form with HTML. You are validating the form with the Django. Now this time you can see even when we don't enter any data also, this time it is going to be form is submitted. Just observe here. This time form is going to submit. So previously it was stop, but now this time it's no validation because HTML not performing validations. Even though when we submit the empty text boxes, that all values are available. What actually name equals something, address that's equal something, age equals something. So you know about in the previous lectures 2 days back I discussed get method, post method. By default in the HTML form get method only. In the get method what details you are giving, even if I give some details also like this address, okay, and mail like this, all the details are going to display into address bar or not. Look at this, name equals to something, address equals something, mail equals something like this. Because of what method? Get method only. But actually post method we need to use, no? Yes, post method is important. So by default in the form tag, what is the methods are get method only. So method equal to get means okay, or without method equal to get also same method get only. Default method is get. But when we use post method, you can see post method is compulsory. Post is I'm using right now. Post means what is going to happen? Whatever you enter the details, that details will not appear onto the URL address, Yes, that I'll show you now. Look at this. So here I'm trying to enter the values. Even if you enter the values now, we can see whether you are able to post it or not. So you just observe here. I'm going to click on submit. Obviously, as we expected, in my previous lecture also we got this when the moment when I discuss about post method too. What is required compulsory for in Django request, post request especially. So CSRF token adding is required, sir. But we have not mentioned any CSRF token, so that's what it is giving CSRF verification failed. So forbidden error. So to avoid this, what we have to do? The moment when we use the form method equal to post means compulsory we have to use CSRF verification token. That's what I'm using CSRF underscore token here. Okay, let's start the server now. Manage.py run server. Now you can see click on this. This time you can see I'm going to enter the details. Okay, yes. Now you can see age something. Click on submit. Details are submitted, but the details are not going to be displayed onto the URL. Okay, just I'm showing method and post and get. But these details nowhere it is saved. Okay, I will show you later how to save these details into database table also. First, we are going to understand the form rendering options, how it will render, what are the form fields. So what are the techniques are there? Form level we will discuss today. So now you can see this sometimes what I need to do, some form fields arguments are there. Means the moment when I execute the form, so immediately by default the name should come. Like for example, initial properties there. These are all form field arguments. Okay, you can try this all arguments with form fields in the forms.py file only. So my initial value should be Mohan sir. So Mohan in the sense what actually this is the initial name of the person. So there is an attribute called initial. So equals to Mohan means automatically whenever we run this server, so you will get the name of the field is Mohan only. This is default initial value. But look at this initial value also I can able to edit or not? Yes. Initial value the moment when it is displaying by default. So I can able to edit this value, no? You can see this. I can able to edit. So modification and anything is possible. But sir, if I don't want allow modification means what should I do? Simple here. What is that we have to use? Modification if you don't want to use means so disabled equal to true we have to use. What we have to use? Disabled equal to true. Disabled equal to true means the moment when we include this Mohan text into this text box, first text box. So disabled equal to true means that text box will be not enabled mode. It's a disabled mode. So no modification allowed. It's a standard text now. It's a standard text clear. So this is disabling the text box option. And if you want to provide any initial value for the text box option like that. Okay, yes. So now these are the form fields. Just these are optional. You can try with this all. But look at this. I'm trying to use here one more thing. Uh, if I'm going to use this employee.html, let's allow the HTML validations only. Okay, yes, I'm going to allow the HTML validations only. That's what I'm removing. No validation. No validation means no Django validations. Right now, HTML validations. But you can see HTML validation purpose. Whenever I'm going to hit this submit button without enter any data, it will not allow me because we have allowed HTML validations. But the problem is what here in this example you can see. If I don't fill the name, it will not allow any other text box entries. So compulsory it is stopping us. But sir, name I don't want to include. So name is required is not no need to enter the name. How I can skip this name entry means simple. So here name form is there, no forms.py in the name. So I can go for required equal to what actually false I'm taking. Required equal to false means now this time name will not ask because you just use required equal to false we did. But now this time address is asking now. Name is not asking because even though if user don't enter any name also it will allow clear. Even if I go with required equal to false for address also, now this time you can say address also not required. You just created required equal to false. The click on when we click on submit button, now you can see mail is there here. Mail. So because name required false, address required false, I said mail is required compulsory. So this is one of the technique. So do you don't want to make required equal to true means you can make it as required equal to false. What the way you want you can do it. And sometimes you can see form whatever the forms fields are rendering into HTML page. So here label is there by default name, address, mail, age. So after name of the label, so look at this label suffix is there. Suffix means label after colon is there. Sir, I want to remove the colon. I need to give some space. So in that context, there is a attribute is there. Label suffix are there. Label suffix what you want you can use. Label suffix I want hash symbol. Label suffix hash symbol means instead of colon hash symbol is coming. Or label suffix if you want to give space only. So empty space there is no colon. Colon is not required at that time. Colon is not coming. These are the small changes. Label suffix option is also there. Do you want to change? Okay, this is form here. And suppose here if you want to provide any what we can say message. Suppose I'm taking message box purpose. I'm creating this form widgets like a for or a forms dot area. Sorry, forms dot what I'm taking care field I'm taking forms dot care field forms dot care field. So this is message. Any number of fields you can then automatically form will be rendered. Now you can see message purpose. We are using this one. But sir, I want to display some message not in normal text box. I want to write some multi-line message format. How I can write multi-line message format means there is some widget options are there. Look at this in the form section only. Message is my form field name, forms is a class name, library name, care field is a method name. Here in bracket we have to use widget equals to forms dot text area widget I'm taking. forms dot text area. Text area means this will allow you to type some message in the message text area like this. So you can type this so much of message here which is need to be sent. But sometimes user need to get alert how many characters message is required. So that's what we are providing help text attribute also. Then I can say that message only 150 characters I'm taking. Just making alert to the user. Message only 150 characters means what actually? Look at this. Message only 150 characters. So this type of things, this type of widgets also we can include. Just I'm showing message widget, forms.char field, widget is attribute, forms.text area widget, help text equal to message only character, 150 characters. And sometimes, for example, if you are giving password here, password I'm taking, password accepting here from the form, password equals to forms dot what actually char field I'm taking. Once I use forms dot char field for the password also. So password whenever I entered that password is clearly visible to all. But how do we make this password invisible to all? Means simply we can go to form and password forms dot char field. Inside this we can have the widget like forms dot password input widget is there. So once we use password input, then you can see the type is when we type something like this, password is not going to appear to anyone. So these are all techniques which is forms related are here. Okay, forms related, forms related. Okay, forms related technique like this. Okay, so once whenever you are going to working with this what we can say Django form. Okay, especially in this form tag method equal to post means compulsory CSRF token is mandatory, sir. If you don't use any CSRF token, then it will not work out. Okay, yes. So now one more important thing, sir. Here no validate I'm taking. Just observe here, no validate. Method equal to post, no validate. No validate means what? That what does it mean? No validate means we are not using any HTML validations. Instead of we are using what? Django validations, right? But look at this. If I run this, even Django also, is there any providing validation, sir? No. You can see validations means if I don't enter any data also in this text boxes, click on submit, submitting. Yes or no? Click on submit, submitting. But is no one is stopping. Okay, Django also will not perform validations. Why it is not perform Django validation means you really not posting this data to the server. Yes, that's what Django cannot recognize whether inputs are there or not. You are not posting really this data to the server. When it is required to post this data to the server means let's see this how we are posting this data. Okay, so the moment when we click on in this employee.html post method, it should go to view section back again. So here we have to write what we have to write. Just observe here in the view section what I am writing. If request dot current request dot method equal to what actually post request, then I need to create fm form object into which mode? Request dot post mode only. Request dot post. Okay, so look at this. This time Django validations will perform because the post request is happening here. If request dot method equal to post, how does this view know that post request? Because of in the employee dot html template method equal to post I clearly mention or not? Yes. Because of this method equal to post, whatever we mention here, no validate means no HTML validations. Django validations are required. So if request dot method equal to post, I created form object fm equals to employee form request dot post only. Okay, then this request dot post method is okay. After that, this view is responsible to check the form is valid or not. That's what I'm taking fm dot is valid method. Is valid method will return true or false. If it is written true, then what will happen? Data is available, that means valid data. If not, it has to be show something. If method is true, then I can say just the form data is submitted. Form data is submitted. If method is not false, Now you can see here, please enter the values like this. I have to say, if request dot method equal to post, this code should be generate. This code should work. Else block I'm taking. By default, whenever we execute for the first time, the request is not method equal to post. Request is get request. Get request means empty form I have to render. Look at this. This is the pattern, sir. Try to understand. This pattern only I'm going to follow from now onwards. First, you can see, just observe, I'll explain that. The moment when we start the server, look at this. The moment when we start the server, when we click on this link, immediately it will go to where, sir? Project level URLs. In this project level URLs, right now myapp5.urls are there. Got? Yes. Immediately it will go to myapp5.urls. Just understand the flow. myapp5.urls.py, what view is there? Views.emp view is there. Emp view will execute by going to view. In this view, what is this going to execute? This view is execute. But tell me, we are requesting the form. Okay, we are not posting the form. Note this point. We are requesting the form in the sense we need form to display in the template. Oh no. So whenever we execute this emp underscore view, first where it will jump, if block will jump or else block will jump. Else block will jump. Why not, sir? If block will not execute, because if why it is not execute means if it is not a post request, it is a get request. So that's what else block. If request dot method equal to post means this code need to be execute. This code will execute what? After enter the values in the text boxes when we click on submit, or without enter any values in the text boxes when we click on submit. When we click on submit, that is post. If you don't click on submit, we are requesting the form. First of all, you need to see the form. That is called get request. It will go to else block, employee form. First empty form will be render into where employee.html. We will go to employee.html, page will display. Here when we click on submit button, after click on submit button, that is what? Post request. If you don't enter any data in the text boxes, when we click on submit button, directly it will go to view. If request.method equal post correct only. With request.post mechanism through only I am creating form object. This form.isValid will return true or not if the data is available in the text boxes. Yes, if there is no data is available in text boxes, form.isValid will return false. If it is false, what will happen? It will go to else block. Please enter the values. If data is there in the form section, data is submitted, it will display in the terminal. Got my point? Let's see this. Let's restart the server once. Just I want to show you, because we are using no validate option here, no HTML validation, but at least Django validation should be there. No, yes. Look at this. This is called get request. Means what? Else block is executing in the view section. Else block. This is now because of we are getting form now because of this line only. When it will be post request means after without enter any data, click on submit. Look at this. Django validations. This field is required. This field is required. This field is required. This field is required. It's not HTML validation. And also terminal window, you can see this. What is happening? Please enter the values. Please enter the values means which block is executing. Else block. Why? Is valid method is false. Again, restart the server and recheck this information. Again, when the moment when we hit this link, so it is what request, get request. So get request means now this time I'm entering the data clearly. So whenever we enter the data here, is this valid details or not? Yes, valid details. If it is valid, now click on submit. Form data is submitted, and look at this in the terminal. Form data is submitted, came or not? Yes. Why? Because it's a form data is valid. Got my point? This is the case. Okay. Yes. So let's the first request where it is going, else block. Next post request means what? Actually, if method equal post, this data is going to be executed. So just because of showing Django validations how it will perform, that's what I'm returning this post method. In the upcoming sessions, what we will do, we are not going to print. We are going to collect the data from form, and this data here in the form is valid. This data need to be stored into a database table. Database table. That is storing the data into database table. if fm dot is valid. Okay, so this is form is submitted or not without validations, with validation, just I showed. This is Django validations. Why Django validations? Yes, if I remove this in the HTML template, no validate attribute, now this time what validations are? That is not Django validation, it is HTML validation. So by default, HTML5 also is having validation. Now you can see the moment when we try to click on submit button without enter any data in the text boxes, it's a HTML validation only. So Django validations, when it will happen after submitting the data to the server, means posting the data. It's a post method. This post method will match with what? Here emp view request dot method equal to post only. If this post mechanism, this code will execute. If not post mechanism, for the first time when we executing this view, get mechanism, that is else block, empty form will be created. This form first it has to be sent to where employee.html. Then only we are going to get the form structure. In that form we are displaying the data. That form data we are getting. So this is about just simple request with post and get method. Okay, is valid method is very important, sir. Here even in upcoming session also we will discuss is valid. This method is used to run validation and return a boolean value. So like true means what? Valid. False means what? Invalid. That is boolean values. True means valid and false means what? Invalid only, like that. Okay, this is exactly how it is going to be displayed. So next what I want to see here, sir, I want to display what we can say, uh, labels. Labels means what? Suppose here I'm trying to work with the HTML validations only. Like you can see labels. Labels are there here. Okay, this is label. So in Django validations, whenever I click on without enter any data, so this field is required, this field is required is coming like that. Okay, so what field is required? Just observe here every time. Just look at this. I don't, sorry, I have to go for no validate. Yes, exactly. See, when I don't enter any data, click on submit. So what is saying by default, this field is required, this field is required, this field is required, this field is required is saying. But sir, I want to clearly mention the message. Okay, I want to clearly mention the message. What message? Name is required. Like address is mandatory. My own message, I message values I need. To do this, what we need to do in the form section, simply what we have to use, error messages property, error message attribute is there, error message. Okay, error message. What is that? Required, then colon, what message you want, you can see name is required. I'm taking name is required. Same thing, do you want to write error message here? Address also, error messages in the dictionary format. Attribute is what? Actual required is a key, required. And what is password? Sorry, address is mandatory. Just showing address is mandatory, like this. Remaining fields also I can take. Normally without enter any data in the text boxes, when I click on submit button, what is default messages are coming? This field is required, this field is required. But I want to make name is required, address is mandatory with my own error messages, dictionary format. First key is required, value is what? Name. So once I start server now, the moment when we hit the submit button, now you can see previously it was this field is required. Now this time you can see name is required, address is mandatory. Your own fields are coming or not? Yes. This is option one. And sometimes you can see in my form only name is there, my address is there, mail is there, age is there. But sometimes I need to go for like this. Okay, now labels also I need to do. Label equals to what label? Enter the name. This label I want to display. Next I am taking here, I'm taking here comma, label equals to. Do you want to change the label text? You can change. Enter the address, like this. So this is optional. Okay. So next what I'm taking, label equals to enter your mail. Just I'm showing. Now this time you can see I have clearly mentioned the labels. Labels means what? Which label is required? Look at this. Enter the name, enter the address, enter your mail, like this. My own labels. If I remove these labels, what actually? Default labels. Like, for example, if I use label equals something I removed, and here also label equals to something I removed. And what is the default means? What is the field names are there? By default, that will affect. Look at this. By default, this field names are affecting now. No labels. Name, address. So we can change the labels. We can change the label suffix. Okay. And also we can hit this clearly error messages also as per our choice also we can give. So these are all we can able to set by using into this forms. This is called Django form, and how to work with form, basic information completely which we have discussed today. So in tomorrow session, what we will do, I'm going to I'm going to accept the values from this form. That values are valid or not, I have to check. Anyway, it is checking now today whether it is valid or not. If it is valid, here in this case, I need to collect the form inputs into here. This data I need to save into a database model. So for that model also we need to create. So one table I will create with same. How many fields are there? Same fields through one table I'll create. I can collect the form inputs and send into view. We will check whether that form fields are valid or not. If it is valid, then only I can store that values into database table. Otherwise, I can say please enter invalid entries, like that one. So these things we'll discuss in tomorrow session clearly. So today we got complete information related to forms, how to make forms without writing any HTML script, much more. So this form class through, we are preparing form fields. Every form field is generating one input HTML element by default. But Django forms will not generate any form tag, and also button control. You need to prepare your button and you need to prepare your form tag. Only Django will generate according to your Python class in the form section. Based on these fields, input elements will be generated. That's it. Okay. So that's all for now. See you tomorrow.